With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 86, tonight cloudy with a low around 67, and Wednesday partly sunny with a high around 79. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings in Chicago, WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in Seattle in the nighttime hours, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Tuesday. Nice to have you with us in hour number 2 tonight. We've got Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer joining us here. Patrick is joining us right now. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
Not as cool as Patrick Cooligan, but I'm glad to be here with you.
Okay, we're borderline on that one. I'm not gonna hold on. Oh, whoa. I wanted to. I'm actually. You need to keep me on track here because I might be going old man on you right now. I will admit I'm getting older, and as you get older, one of the things that you start noticing is, where did I put the dog? That sort of thing. You know, you kind of get that sort of thing. Today, I went to the store, filled up my cart, checked out everything at the grocery outline, and I did not have my wallet with me.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm okay. I know this is a minor thing. This happened once before to me, but that was that was when I had my first infant child, and I couldn't remember anything. It really was a magical time. You have that first kid and it is just a blur. And I remember I looked at my grocery store, give me an idea. My grocery store trip was my downtime. That was like downtime. And I forgot my wallet, put my headset on listened to music, got to the checkout lane. We've been paging you. Your wife called and basically said you forgot your, oh, I'll be right back. And so that happened then. But now I have no excuse because now it's like peanut butter cups and I completely forget what I'm doing. That's where I'm at right now, Patrick. Have you noticed am I losing it here?
You seem pretty lucid around here in the studio.
Well, that's because of all the drugs I take. No drugs. No. Well, I do have blood pressure, a little blood pressure medication, and of course, lots of sweet dope. But no, I don't smoke dope. I don't drink. Actually, it was funny when I went to, remember when the kidney thing nearly killed me? I went and got checked out, and the guy said, "What medications do you take on a daily basis?" I said, "None." I said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, none." This is like 6 years ago. I was 50 years old. He goes, "You don't take any medication?" I said, "No." On a daily basis? "No." Wow. And that was the first time I realized, man, we're messed up as a society. I didn't realize I was doing. I'm not taking it. Am I supposed to be taking something? Did I miss something? I think I am losing it. I think I feel like I've got this kind of, where am I? What am I doing? It's thrown me off. It's the little things, man. I'm getting older. I know that. And I guess maybe part of this could be the psychology of being an empty nester, knowing I got my youngest kid is about to go off to college. And so now I'm going to sit around and whittle things. You know, I guess, is whittling fun? Have you ever whittled? No,
I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
You take a knife against the stick and you try to carve something out of it. Most of the times it's a snake, you know.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll have a full collection of snakes here. That's I guess what I'm looking forward to. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I will say I'm probably going to be doing better than the Republicans because we've got two buttes today. Two buttes. Of examples of the hypocrisy of your standard Republican out there, especially the MAGA Republicans, because they are truly horrible, horrible people. Let's go with one of the worst. This is Ryan Walters. This is this thing that's down in Oklahoma. He is the education state superintendent, state board of education superintendent, Ryan Walters. he is everything bad with MAGA. He's completely, once again, the same people that accuse others of having an agenda can't wait to put an agenda in there, basically saying that you have to teach that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. He forcing school districts to buy Donald Trump Bibles to force Christian religion on people, that sort of thing. On Monday, Oklahoma Sheriff's Office confirmed that it's currently reviewing last week's State Board of Education meeting after the state superintendent, Ryan Walters, reportedly had a video of naked women playing on his office. Wow. All right. Focusing on the task at hand, I see. After last Thursday's executive meeting session, Becky Carlson and Ryan Dethrange, two school board members, said they saw a video, gave the account the incident to the Oklahoman. Both said they were stunned to see naked women walking across the screen in Walter's office during the closed door meeting. Hello there. I saw them just walking across the street, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, we even have to use this language. But I'm like, are those her nipples? Ooh. Do Oklahomans not have nipples? I mean, are we breaking news here?
I think we are breaking news.
Wow, there's no nipples in apparently. Okay, watch out. It's like a Ken doll there. Nothing. And then I'm like, that's pubic hair. Nicely done. I mean, if I was just to look at some hairs, I mean, I'd have some ideas. There's some ways you can, narrow down the search if you've just got a pile of hair on the table of which one's which. But apparently the school board member was able to identify very quickly, that's pubic hair. What in the world am I watching? Carlson told the Oklahoman. I don't want to watch a second longer. I was so deeply disturbed by it. I was like, what is on your TV? It's very stern. I'd been a mother and a classroom teacher, said, what am I watching? Turn it off now. Although Carlson and Dethrange were reportedly the only two board members who could see the screen, a third member named Chris Van de Hendy described Walter's reaction as consistent with something inappropriate being viewed. Dethrange noted that his back was to this video screen and therefore wouldn't have been in Walter's direct view. Walters vehemently denied the allegation on, of course, Twitter on Sunday, calling them a politically motivated attack. Now, pardon me while I do some research on my computer. Walters was elected to serve a 5-year term as Oklahoma State Superintendent in 2022. Oh, man, that's tantric. Sorry. He's like Sting at this point. Walters issued a mandate that all public schools in the state had to teach the Bible, calling it a necessary document in teaching kids. Apparently, he's used to people saying, "Dear Lord." I do love it when the high and mighty people fall. Oh, is that fun? Meanwhile, he's dodged responsibility and attacked the press for reporting the state being the bottom of state school rankings because he's not about educating kids. He's basically about, certain adult video topics, apparently. As a firm believer in the MAGA movement, Walters required Oklahoma school districts to teach Donald Trump's disproven lies about the 2020 presidential election as fact. Yeah, yep. Pretty standard. Of course, that's from our good friends over at Heartland Signal there. They basically putting that one out there. Make sure you're catching that one. But as well, I get it to Rolling Stone. He's not the only Republican that's been caught. Republican Texas Senator Giovanni Capriglione introduced the Human Life Protection Act, a trigger ban that overturned Texas into the strictest abortion ban states in the nation after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The legislation has been totally stripped women's rights of their reproductive autonomy. Maternal mortality has since spiked. Routine pregnancy complications have become more dangerous. And Capriglione led the charge to restrict the rights of constituents in his political career. In his personal life, well, you can see where we're about to go. Yep. According to Alex Grace, a former exotic dancer who says she's had a long-time relationship with Capriglione, The lengthy interview published on Friday in the Texas-based independent outlet Current Revolt, Grace alleged that she and Capriglione, a married father of 3 who was elected to the state legislature in 2012, had been romantically involved for almost 2 full decades. She said the two met in 2004 when she was 18 years old and worked as an exotic dancer. Grace said she would meet. I'm sure that was a Bible study. Once again, dear Lord. They met at a variety of locations, including his home and office, describing his representative's behavior as paranoid to the point of absurdity. She described one incident. In order to not be seen together, the representative told her to go to the back of a Chuck E. Cheese, and next to the dumpster, there would be a rubber mat. Look under it for a rubber mat. There was an envelope with money. She added that the interview that Capriglione would use burner phones and emails to communicate with her, often flaked on plans to meet over fear of being caught. Grace alleged that Capriglione funded several abortions for his own personal gain and that she felt his support for anti-abortion legislation ran contrary to his own personal beliefs and values. Of course he did. Of course this guy did. This is the guy that wrote that nobody can get an abortion, and meanwhile, he's got a punch card for his mistress. If you're using abortions for your own personal gain, if you're using women for your own personal gain, why announce to the world that this isn't who you are? Grace's account of her relationship with Capriglione included other disturbing allegations. I can't even describe this. I actually had a discussion with myself. Can I describe what this weirdo wanted to do? It has to do with cookies from a bake sale that he was going to sell to the kids in his neighborhood. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'll post the Rolling Stone story. You can read what apparently this guy wanted to do. No, I can't even go down that. Yeah, it's that bad. It's, oh my God, bad. Like, you are a broken soul, dude. Capriglione announced last week, days before news of his affair broke, that he would not be seeking another term. He had announced actually less than a month earlier that he indeed would be seeking re-election, touting the endorsement of Trump and Texas Governor Greg Abbott. I mean, he knows where to party, you know. The representative office did not immediately respond to requests for comment, but he did say to a statement to the Texas Tribune, admitted to having the affair, so that's true, but claimed the allegations against him were part of a targeted smear campaign. Dude, if you're not going to run, then how is that a targeted smear? Never mind. This is just you being a creepo. But as we have learned, almost every accusation from a Republican is pretty much an admission. Keep that in mind as we talk about Donald Trump, the pedophile in chief, and his refusal to say anything. Did you see his comment yesterday where he was like, oh, I didn't ever had the pleasure of going to Epstein's child sex island. Really? 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 Wow. Yikes. Yeah, yikes. That's the new MAGA phrase. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Take it apart.
Hey François, what are you packing for?
Salut Laura, j'irai en tournée avec le truck de Nicolette's Macaron.
You're going on tour with Nicolette's Macaron truck.
Ouais, je suis un groupie.
Oh, you're definitely a groupie. What are your stops?
Le Loring Park Arts Festival le 26 juillet et puis le State Fair.
The Loring Park Art Festival on July 26th and then the Minnesota State Fair. Well, bon voyage, François.
Et bon appétit, Laura.
More information at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Margaret Cho is coming to Minneapolis, and she's not holding back. Choligarchy is Margaret Cho's new comedy tour that's tackling power, privilege, and the madness of modern America. Frustrated with the State of the Union? Well, so is Cho. She's turning that rage into her most blistering, brutally honest show yet, taking on racism, homophobia, and sexism with her signature wit and fearless comedy. Don't miss Margaret Cho at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, March 26th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. That's Ticketmaster.com.
You can't have too much pride, and Fargo Moorhead Pride is proving it again this year, August 8th through 11th. It's one of the region's largest pride celebrations, drawing people from across Minnesota, the Dakotas, and even Canada. Just a little over 3 hours from the Twin Cities, you'll find 4 days packed with celebration, community, and fun at Fargo Moorhead Pride. It all kicks off Thursday, August 8th with a family fun night trivia, and a karaoke party. Then Friday features an all-ages drag show and a high-energy dance party. Saturday brings a 5K fun run, patio palooza, and the big Pride Block party. And on Sunday, everything wraps up with an interfaith service and the Pride Parade through downtown Fargo. Pride in the Park is one of the weekend's biggest events, offering food trucks, community vendors, and live entertainment everyone can enjoy. Make the road trip and show your pride at Fargo Moorhead Pride, August 8th through the 11th. Full schedule and details at fmpride.com.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
I've got mysterious stranger starred in my contact list.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us here today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Gary is in the Twin Cities. He wanted to chime in. Hi, Gary.
Hi, I just got a few lines. The founders wrote, "We the people, not I the billionaire."
Yeah.
And these Trumpsters, the lower income in particular, well, they gotta wake up at what's going on in this country. Thank you, man.
You got it, Gary. Thank you very much. Short and sweet today. Agree with you wholeheartedly. It is we the people. We are a union, not a corporation. And yeah, people voting against their own self-interest. I mean, that is the Republican Party today. I mean, it's the MAGA people. But okay, is it, or are we just coming to grips with the reality that the main thing for a lot of MAGA, that they will see their salaries cut, things more expensive, they'll be evicted, they'll go bankrupt with medical care, their kids won't be able to afford college, that all of that is acceptable as long as they can scream the N-word, as long as they can talk about, anti-Semitic tropes and be able to defend it by saying we're fighting the woke culture. Because Your Honor, the truth is, the sad reality is 20% of this country, at least 20% of the country, Donald Trump could wipe them out. But as long as they feel as if they can be the most racist person, they'll go for it. I'll talk more about that coming actually up here in just a little bit. I wanted to actually get to, obviously my precursor, as I say, with this issue, because there are some people that like to run with things. I believe in Israel. I believe in the people of Israel. I disagree wholeheartedly with the Israeli government. Wholeheartedly. I support the Palestinians. I hate Hamas. Those two things can exist in a normal human being. There you go. All right. I do not think the average person in Israel is responsible for what's happening in the Palestinians. And I am not denying that the Palestinians at this point seem to be that Benjamin Netanyahu, his goal seems to be to kill them. As a matter of fact, an argument is, it seems like what he's doing is, look at me, I'm starving the Palestinians to death. We better get somebody to move them to a different country so I can develop the Gaza into resort land. That's what it seems like he's doing. That he's basically intentionally trying to kill off as many Palestinians until somebody opens up an area and then says, see, no problem. Because it's clear that the Palestinians are being starved to death. I mean, it is clear the Palestinians are being starved to death. It is crystal clear that this is happening. There are multiple news sources that are on the ground that are relaying photos of people starving to death that look, frankly, like people being freed from concentration camps after World War II. They're bone thin. It is truly disturbing to see this happening again in this world. But Benjamin Netanyahu, what is his whole thing is, nobody's starving in the Gaza. Come on, man. The UK is going to recognize Palestinian statehood in September ahead of the United Nations General Assembly. This is Keir Starmer now says before listing some conditions for this to happen. According to the written handout to the cabinet meeting he held earlier, Starmer said that this would happen unless the Israeli government takes substantial steps to end the appalling situations in Gaza, reaches a ceasefire, makes it clear there will be no annexation of the West Bank, and commits to long-term peace process that delivers a two-state solution. He also reiterated that there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas, and that the UK's demands on Hamas remain, and they must release all the hostages, sign up for the ceasefire, except that they will play no role in government in Gaza and then disarm. Starmer committed to make an assessment ahead of the UNGA and how far the parties have met these steps before making a final decision, ensuring that no one side will have a veto, the statement says. And the argument which he's making is basically what the French have said. The French have already recognized Palestinian as its own state. And so the Gaza is its own state. And so there you go. He just then spoke to reporters following his emergency meeting to discuss the situation. He starts by saying, on October 7th, 2023, Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israeli history, adding that the horror has continued every day since then. Turning to the current situation, he refers to starving babies and children too weak to stand, images that will stay with us for a lifetime. Yep, nope, we can all agree. What Hamas did on October 7th, 2023 was so unacceptable, and Israel definitively deserved to strike back. But they not only got their pound of flesh, they're looking for a few thousand more pounds of flesh. And they seem to be content on this entire concept of starving the Palestinians. And once again, apparently, and forgive me, I didn't have the time to go back and find this. I don't know if it was Egypt or Saudi Arabia said, hey, we'll open it up and we'll try to find some place for the Palestinians. And the Israelis say, no, they don't want the Palestinians anywhere near them because they're afraid of the consequences of how they're dealing with these people. They've said that the only places that they'll allow them to, the closest would be Libya, which is well far away across the Mediterranean. But they say they prefer, was it Ethiopia or is it Malaysia? It's one of the two of them. They don't want the Palestinians there because basically they're trying to wipe out the entire population of them right now. They're trying to starve them to death. And if you've not seen the images of what the Gaza used to look like to the piles of rubble that it is today, it is truly disturbing because it's clear we have to understand, once again, the Israeli people are not the problem. The country of Israel itself is not necessarily the problem. It's the government of Israel that is the problem. And the government of Israel, there does seem to be this stench that has come with this. Not only is it this idea of starving the Palestinians to death, which they are doing. They're trying to, it's a genocide. I mean, they're trying to kill all the Palestinians. And they're doing it. It's not like they're hiding this. This is something they're gleefully applauding at this point. But it's also the other story I brought up the last few weeks, which is in the West Bank itself. The Israeli settlers basically seem to have the green light from the Israeli government to kill anyone they want to steal the property of. That is what they're doing. Imagine going to your neighbor saying, your house is now my house. And when they say, wait a minute, no, this is my house, shooting them, preventing the ambulance to get there, and then being allowed to annex their house as your house. That is what is happening in the West Bank. The settlers are being encouraged by extremism to just shoot people. And they indeed have killed an American citizen who was there visiting family, to which there doesn't seem to be any interest at all in holding the people that did this accountable, even though after they beat him to death with sticks, as he was dying in the street, they blocked ambulances from getting to him. There is a rotten stink right now within the Israeli government. And this is genocide. What they're doing to the Palestinians, it's at best outright theft, what's happening in the West Bank. And I haven't even gotten to the fact that they're starting to launch missiles into other countries, and there doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason outside of conquest. It is terrifying. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Take a break. Come back.
I grew up in the backwoods.
It's Brad Friedman, your friendly investigative blogger, journalist, and host of the Bradcast on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 86, tonight cloudy with a low around 67, and Wednesday partly sunny with a high around 79. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Broadcasting in Chicago on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in Seattle at night, 11:50 a.m. KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Just FYI, I am going to be taking this weekend off. I can take a long weekend here. Going to see some family, and just for you on the Friday show. We've had him on the air before. Greg Bakken. He hosts a show here in the Twin Cities called Ghost Box Radio. It's on the mothership here, AM 950, at 10 o'clock Central Time, weeknights. Paranormal, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychics, all sorts of great things. It's old school radio. It's a great show, and it's on our mothership here, AM 950, 10 p.m. weeknights right here. Now, he's going to fill in for me on Friday. And in this hour on that day, he's going to have Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the Munsters. How old is he now? Okay, the Munsters were the 60s. Well, I'm 50. He's got to be in the 60s, young 70s at this point. Anyway, that's a heck of a get, man. Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster, going to join Greg on this show on Friday.
He is 71 years old.
Outstanding. And of course, who could forget Fred Gwynn?
Actually, that will be the last day he will be 71. He turned 72 on Saturday.
Oh, well, we'll have to make sure Greg knows to say happy birthday from all of us here at AM 950. And of course, WCPT, and of course in Seattle on KNW. By all means, that is too cool. Anyway, Greg Bonkin in on Friday with, once again, Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster in the show here on Friday. Enjoy. And yeah, that's cool, man. I'm all over that action. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So yesterday, I don't know if you heard this same segment yesterday, but I was talking about the musical Cabaret, which is playing at a theater here in the Twin Cities, and I went and saw it, and how scarily realistic it is today to watch that musical. And once again, without giving away too much, the musical basically takes place in Berlin at the end of the Weimar Republic, and as the Nazis start to rise. And the second half is exactly what it is. It's a real tearjerker. It's this realization that real evil is coming. And the parallels, there's one particular song where, you come to realize that most of the community is indeed in the camp of the Nazis. Spoiler alert, this is how it kind of happened. And what made this scary for me is the reality is this is kind of where we're at right now. When you watch Cabaret and you get to that second half, and there's all of a sudden this terrifying realization that of the world that is coming from the Nazi party, that it is scary. We are in this country right now at that junction. And there's some real questions on whether or not this is going to stop. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm scared to death that this can't stop right now. Let me give you a few examples of this. This morning I posted on the socials, and once again, Blue Sky. That's my primary vibe, yo. Yeah, I'm old. Did I mention I'm losing my mind? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yo, home slice. Yeah, I am losing my mind. Blue Sky, Matt McNeil show on Blue Sky. Matthew McNeil 1 is on Threads. Facebook, I'm still there. Matt McNeil show, Progressive Citizen X, and on Mastodon, you can go find me at Matt McNeil show. It's nice to have you all there. And of course, I do have a Substack as well that you can kind of go over, and at least I post one or two things over there. But for the most part, that's where you can find me. And of course, the blog is Progressive Citizen X. And that's where you can find me as well. So I mean, there's a way for you to find me. And I posted this morning a story about how the fact that you haven't heard anything from Sydney Sweeney's camp about this whole thing with American Eagle, where once again, there is this really inappropriate ad talking about her jeans. I said this yesterday. If American Eagle had an ad campaign that featured Sydney Sweeney, but also featured, say, Beyonce, or featured Margaret Cho, the comedian, or featured, Jennifer Lopez, or something like this, where you had a variety of people talking about the jeans. That's fine. And once again, we're not talking about jeans that you're wearing. This is clearly talking about the jeans of the individual. The problem with American Eagle is they didn't do that. What American Eagle did was take a page right out of MAGA and basically have Sydney Sweeney, who's unfortunately, I did not realize this, family is very much MAGA. And, and that's fine. I mean, you can't control family members, but the fact that she would do this ad, it is wildly inappropriate, where she talks about my blonde hair, blue eye jeans are perfect. and I wear my jeans, which are the pants. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And the more I've seen these ads, the more I keep saying to myself, how in the hell did somebody green like this? It's unfortunate. Now, of all the social media pages I've mentioned before, the only one that's really kind of rough right now is Threads. And that's because, Threads, you remember all those losers we abandoned on Twitter? Yeah, they want our attention because they're desperate for it. They desperately need us to respond to them. And so they're not about to go to Blue Sky because they kind of get tossed from Blue Sky pretty quickly. And Facebook requires them to put itself too many, hoops and to jump through. So they're trying their hardest to get onto Threads and turn Threads into Twitter Lite, where they can just be horribly racist and gotcha, zinger, that sort of thing. So since this morning, I've had to block probably 30 people, the most people I've had to block on any social media page since I gave up Twitter last November. I've had to probably block 30 people on Threads, all of whom are saying, she did nothing wrong. It's just a gene. You libs are out of control. And then the thing which is funny is you click on these pages, and some of them are clearly bots. Some of them are. And when I say that with a Threads page, when you click on their profile, if you go to their profile and there's not a single post they've made, or there's like 12 posts that were made 6 months ago, all within an hour and a half of each other, and that's all the posts they've done, it's clear you're dealing with a bot account. But there are a lot that aren't bot accounts who seem to be legit people who have some of the most racist crap on their Threads page. They're not trying to hide it. And this is the reason why I got away from Twitter, was because Twitter, when, Elon Grand Dragon over there took over, it went right into the pit. And it was all of a sudden, it was, Hitler was right sort of stuff. And you're like, no, I'm not going to be part of this. And by the way, just once again, a refresher course for anyone out there. If you're a Democrat and you're still on Twitter, you're a freaking idiot. I mean, he hates you. He wants you basically stopped at all costs. He is trying to actively hurt you. And you're like, but I can't give up my followers. I gave up my followers. I gave them up. And by the fact, I can just honestly say, I had about 4,000 followers on Twitter when I gave it up. I've got 16,000 followers. I'm what, 16.5 followers now on Blue Sky. So it worked out much better for me to transfer over. Your only excuse for being there is basically you're a lemming and you should be off Twitter. Anyway, that all being said, the vitriol, the language, this I'm not afraid to be the biggest racist I can possibly be, is scary, because that's kind of what Cabaret was like in the second half, is that all of a sudden these people were not hiding it anymore. On top of that, I mentioned earlier this guy in Texas, the guy that wrote the anti-abortion law. There is, without a doubt in my mind, a legit chance that if that guy ran, the guy who not only passed this draconian anti-women's rights bill, this anti-abortion bill, but as well had an affair, paid for multiple abortions himself, allegedly, and then has this other story, which I couldn't even talk about because it's so damn offensive, of what he wanted to do to a batch of cookies. Yikes. Yikes. I bet you he actually probably would be the odds-on favorite against a Democrat to win that seat again. He'd be the odds-on favorite. Because we don't seem to understand how bad, to a point, it's bad leadership within the Democratic Party. I'm not going to dismiss that. It's part of it is that, but it's also the narrative of the media and how it's been dictated that the Democrats are always bad, the Republicans are always right, and that's just it. I said this yesterday in regards to the Trump tariffs on the EU. He raised tariffs from 2% to 15%, and every news outlet applauded. If Joe Biden would have raised tariffs to 3% from 2%, those same news outlets would be Joe Biden strangling the budget of the everyday worker. Wholesome Americans can't afford basic groceries thanks to Joe Biden. That would be the narrative. Donald Trump takes the tariff rate from 2% to 15%. And isn't he a genius? No, he's not. I get it. But there is a problem with the Democrats in the fact that they've lost their way, to say the least, by welcoming in so many former moderate Republicans without any basic litmus test of loyalty to the party. Nearly half of Latino voters who backed Donald Trump in November 2024 showed that they're not delighted with their decision. In an extensive interview with 11 Latino MAGA voters, this is the New York Times discovered that a lot of dissatisfaction with the direction of the country, particularly the economy and immigration. And they described Trump's words as arrogant, unpredictable, and uncensored. It's not going good, said one of the participants. Prices are going up. Nobody's paychecks are going up. Things once seemed pretty affordable, now seem pretty unattainable. A decent vacation and cost a great deal. But then comes this. But I believe in time it will balance itself out. Right now, we're just a little shaky ground financially. Oh, good luck with that. Everything's going up, by the way, and everything's going up dramatically. At the end of this story, however, the report found that only one of the 11 said they consider voting for the Democrats, with most saying they are too left-leaning, which promises a lot but doesn't deliver. Well, Democrats were in charge completely in 2008 to 2010, gave you the Affordable Care Act, so got you affordable health care. Democrats were in charge for the first 2 years of Biden's term and gave you the infrastructure bill, which was the greatest infrastructure bill in the history of this country. They deliver. It just is you've been told they don't deliver by the people that refuse to deliver and make your life worse. And so they are there. This is why I say that Texas guy, that he would win. And the Democrats have a really big problem because they just don't have the ability to coalesce here. When I talk about where this country is going, I want to ask you a question, and I'm not trying to scare you, but I want you to be honest with yourself. If ICE was confronted with the idea that the Democrats were surefire winners in 2026 or in 2028, and they were facing the reality of their power being reined in, being unmasked, being forced to wear badges with their names on them so people could see who they are as they're doing what they're doing, or even yet giving people to find out who the ICE agents were that raided their places over the last 2 years. Do you think ICE would stay on the sidelines and allow that to happen? Or do you think that ICE and Homan, the border czar, would take action matters into their own hands? And whether that's rounding up Democratic candidates or just marching them out back and putting bullets in their head, they have a chance to stay into power without consequence, because let's face it, Donald Trump would probably pardon them all for doing it. Does that sound too unrealistic to you? Because frankly, what scares me to death is that sounds pretty realistic at this point. And I'm starting to get really concerned that that's where this is going at this point. I'll take a break, come back. I think the Democrats have a chance. I'll explain that. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
This is it. Art lovers, weekend wanderers, and food truck fans. Minneapolis' iconic art event is happening this weekend. The 34th annual Powderhorn Art Fair takes over the Powderhorn Park on Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with more than 200 juried artists, delicious food trucks, floral vendors, upcycle creators, and a full family zone. There is something for everyone to enjoy. Wander the lakeside paths, meet the local and regional artists, find the perfect piece for your home, or just take in the vibrant energy of this truly unique celebration of creativity and community. Don't miss the chance to support arts and experience one of the most joyful weekends of the summer. All right here in the heart of South Minneapolis. Admission is free, again, Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Powderhorn Park. For details, event schedules, food lists, artist previews, and more, visit powderhornartfair.com. That's powderhornartfair.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Margaret Cho is coming to Minneapolis, and she's not holding back. Choligarchy is Margaret Cho's new comedy tour that's tackling power, privilege, and the madness of modern America. Frustrated with the State of the Union? Well, so is Cho. She's turning that rage into her most blistering, brutally honest show yet, taking on racism, homophobia, and sexism with her signature wit and fearless comedy. Don't miss Margaret Cho at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, March 26th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. That's Ticketmaster.com.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. So we're in a mess right now because we are sliding down the scale out of democracy very quickly. And I think you'd all agree with me that hypothetical scenario I put forward to you do you think that the ICE agents, do you think the border czar, Homan, do you think that if it looks like Democrats are about to take back over the House and the Senate, or if they're about to win the presidency in 2028, do you think for 1 second that they are going to sit on the sidelines and allow one of those liberals come in there and change all their good hard work? Or do you think that they would insert themselves into the election, either by rounding up all the Democratic candidates and locking them in one of their prisons, saying that we've got questions about their Americanness, or marching them out back, finding a soccer stadium and putting bullets into people's heads? I can't say, but I can tell you this. That's not nearly the far-fetched fantasy that it once was in this country. Not in the least bit, for goodness sakes. And part of the problem that we have is that even if, I've said this before, Donald, you walked into your house and you saw Donald Trump having sex with your spouse, no matter what kind of spouse it was. If you walked into and most Republicans, if they walked into their house and found Donald Trump having sex with their spouse, the first things out of their mouth would be, damn Democrats! Why didn't you stop me from voting for this guy? Because they've been Pavlovian dog. They can't help but salivate when they basically can't stand the Democrats because not because the Democrats haven't delivered. For goodness sakes, the last two times the Democrats were completely in charge, they delivered on popular programs. No, it's the fact that the national news media drives a narrative that the Democrats are always horrible, leftist, they hate America, that sort of thing. While the fact that the Democratic Party itself doesn't know what the hell it stands for anymore. And I saw the picture of the Joe Manchin book, by the way, if there's anything funnier. The book's name is Dead Center, which, okay, first of all, who green lighted that headline, that title, Dead Center, but as well, the name is Dead Center, and Manchin's face is off to the right to where it's half cut off the page. It is, you couldn't make it up. The Democratic Party's mistake was they started accepting people into the party from both the moderate side and from the extremist left side that didn't really agree with the party, because the feeling was, well, we'll just become the other choice for the Republicans. And what they did is they didn't get people in their party that wanted to be there because they wanted to be Democrats. They got opportunistic, and you got people which I call stray cat Democrats, like Joe Manchin, where basically once every 2 weeks, the cat shows back up on your doorstep to have a saucer of milk, and you're stupid enough to believe that's your cat. Meanwhile, it spends the rest of the 2 weeks out on mostly Republican doorsteps where they know it's their cat. But because every once in a while it stops by and has a saucer of milk with you, you think that somehow makes it a Democrat. No, they're stray cat Democrats. The Democratic Party needs to find itself. And the first thing you need to do is build a basic portfolio of what makes a Democrat a Democrat. Number one, single payer healthcare. That has to be part of your platform at this point, because this current medical system is failing us so spectacularly, it's not even funny. You need to be for strong jobs, strong unions, good pay and benefits. That's number two. Quality, affordable education from birth to college. That's number three. Quality, affordable education. Number four, equal rights for all, including women, minorities, all the religions, the LGBTQIA plus community. Everyone gets equal rights. And that also does mean the undocumented workers who are willing to come to this country to do the crap jobs that we don't want to do at a substandard wage. For God's sakes, the plan should be to try to get them into citizenship and paying their taxes, as opposed to rounding them up and now having rotting crops in the fields, having massive shortages in the construction industry. That's number four. Equal rights for all. You want to be here. If you're a human being, you should have basic human rights. And number five, the wealthy pay at least the same tax rate as the middle and lower class. No more tax breaks for the wealthy. No more tax breaks for corporations. If the lowest tax rate you can, whatever the highest tax rate is for anyone making $100,000 or less, whatever the highest tax rate is, then that anyone that's in the top 5%, they have to pay that rate on their taxes. Because I guarantee you what, that will solve your deficit problem real fast and give us plenty of money to keep Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security all rolling. All these programs you say we can't afford, if the wealthy just paid their fair share of taxes, guess what? Everything would be funded. 5 simple things: fair tax code, quality education, strong jobs with good pay, single payer healthcare, and equal rights for all. Ding, 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 ding. And if you can't be part of that, then you can't be in the Democratic Party. All our best. If you can't agree to defend those 5 things, those 5 basic tentpoles, those pillars, if you can't be there, well, then I'm sorry, you're not a D. You're either a moderate Republican who's pretending to be a Democrat, or you're maybe off on the extreme far left and you want it far more, but we can't guarantee that. We can't go down these paths. Those 5 things, I specifically chose those 5 things for this reason. They're populism. All of those things are popular. All of them are. Most of them poll 60 points or higher. It makes you the populist party, as opposed to this, well, we don't talk about it. We'll do this. Oh, he's a liberal. Oh, no. Instead of all you're doing is raising money to try to get campaign dollars, for God's sakes, you need to understand what we're playing with right now. And if the Republican, if MAGA right even allows another election to happen, you need to get over your damn crap attitude and get back to being Democrats, because that's what the problem is right now when it comes to the Democratic Party. You've lost who you are. It's time to find your soul. Chicago, Seattle. I will talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with all energy solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
Hi, Matt McNeil here. You're listening to the best progressive radio in Minnesota. It's AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. New York police say they plan to question a man who supplied parts for a gun used in yesterday's deadly shooting at a Manhattan office building. Julie Walker has more from the scene.
Investigators believe Shane Tamora of Las Vegas was trying to get to NFL offices in this Park Avenue building Monday after killing 3 people in the lobby, including a police officer, but went to the 33rd floor by mistake, which houses Rudin Management, where he shot and killed another person. Mayor Eric Adams says a note found on Tamora suggests he blames the NFL for an unsubstantiated claim that he suffered from CTE, a brain injury affecting athletes. He played high school football in California nearly 2 decades ago. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
Mr. Tamora has a documented mental health history.
She says Tamora entered the building with an M4 rifle
and immediately opened fire on an NYPD officer. He then shoots a woman who took cover behind a pillar and proceeds through the lobby, spraying it with gunfire.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell called it an unspeakable act of violence and that a league employee was seriously injured in the attack. Outside NFL headquarters in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
The leading international authority on food crises says Gaza's population is facing the worst-case scenario of famine. World Food Program's Ross Smith.
It's not a warning. It is an active and significant humanitarian catastrophe.
Meantime, Gaza's health ministry says the Palestinian death toll in the Israel-Hamas war is now more than 60,000, more than 24 people killed by Israeli strikes overnight. In Ukraine, Russia's latest strikes on civilian areas killed at least 27. And on Wall Street, a modest retreat for stocks. The S&P shed 0.3%, the Nasdaq 0.4%, and the Dow 0.5%. This is AP News.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
At Target, back-to-school-a-days are here. What is back-to-school-a-days, you ask? We're talking 7 days of deals on looks and styles the kids will love, at prices you'll love even more. Because back-to-school at Target means getting all of the above. Through August 2nd, save 25% on select kids' clothes, with additional savings to round out their looks, including uniforms, leggings, polos, and activewear. Plus, their new favorite backpacks are 30% off. Happy back-to-school-a-days now through August 2nd, only at Target.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Find me at pearlsofwisdom.com. That's PERLES of wisdom.com. So we can strategize together.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromenlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 86, tonight cloudy with a low around 67, and Wednesday partly sunny with a high around 79. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches, Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Tuesday. Matt and Patrick and Brett, oh my. We are, of course, broadcasting live from AM 950, where a little bit later on this hour, Margaret Cho is coming back into town. She was in town 2-3 years ago. She was glad she's back. She's going to be at the Fillmore on March 26th. I've got a pair of tickets to give away a little bit later on this hour to go see Margaret Cho. So make sure you keep listening because we got some stuff. We got great stuff. Patrick Cooligan coming up here, but great stuff coming up. Listen for your chance to win. We'll give away those tickets this hour right here on AM 950. Did both of you guys get through the storm last night? This nasty wind last night unscathed?
I did on my end. Yeah, for the most part, I didn't hear much of it actually in my place. So,
well, you are in kind of a good geologic. You're kind of low. I know where you're kind of the neighborhood you're in.
Yeah.
You're low, so the wind might have kind of gone.
Yeah,
at least not
I was
been as bad.
expecting a lot more, but it was interesting. Like an hour before that storm came in, I was just getting back from biking, and it was so eerily still.
It was.
I was like, this is going to explode later.
How about you, Patrick? Any problems?
Nothing at my place.
Was your power on for both of you guys? Good.
Yeah, no problems there.
Some people got the double whammy. The power was out, and now the power's out again this week. That's not. Yikes! Sorry about that. Nothing bad where I'm at, although it was pretty. It was like 9:45 last night, and you just heard it, and just it's this weird eeriness where, as you said, complete still. Like reading a book, or I think I was doing one of my word games because that's how I kind of end my day is, let's get the Wordle or Word Find, that sort of thing. And all of a sudden I just heard a bunch of smaller sticks coming off our trees, hitting the roof. And I went out and looked, and to see massive silver maples flopping around like a shrub in a heavy wind. I was like, okie dokie, this is not good. I'm very grateful we didn't lose power or anything like that, but a lot of people did. Was it a Duchero? Did we have one of those? Was that what it is?
That's what I was reading about earlier yesterday. I saw someone posted that, or maybe I saw that on the National Weather Service where they were saying, we were ripe for conditions to have, I believe it. Yeah, is it called derecho? Is that how
derecho? I mean, do it. It's C. I'll go with your pronunciation.
Yeah, we'll go with the very American style to pronounce it.
A taco, you say?
Yeah.
Taco. It was, you could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
And I was stunned they got the Twins game in last night because they called the rain delay in the middle of the ninth. But isn't it a rule in baseball that if the team goes up in the inning on the top of the inning, in the top of the ninth, that they have to try to give the home team the opportunity to come back. So either they're going to play that game last night, which they ended up doing and winning because they came back, got 2 runs in the ninth, or they would have to play it before the game today. Isn't that the case? That they cut it off at that point?
I didn't know that was a rule, but that makes some sense as you describe it, because obviously one team would get one fewer at bat than the other team. So yeah, that would make some sense that you can't call it a complete game.
I think they can call it after 6.5. If no team scores, they can do that. But if a team scores, that's when they gets into especially if it's the road team, that's when you get into the other side has to be given the chance to win. the other side. So they have to give
equal at bats unless the home team's winning. Yeah,
exactly. So they did. Twins did win last night, but it sounds like it was kind of scary at Target Field last night when the winds came in. Rupar was over there, and it sounds like the winds came. There's not much stopping it on the concourses out there.
Maybe help some of their batting averages of the Twins players to have that win. Blowing the
open all the doors, get it all in here. Hopefully it will be the case. I got some good news, although I'm going to start off with the bad news first. I was making a pitch that when we found out that the Steve Miller Band, was not going to play at the Minnesota State Fair because literally the first time ever a band has canceled a tour because of climate change. Don't blame them. It just is what happens. I was making a big pitch. I wanted to see Dury, the local guys out of Burnsville, Austin and his sister. I desperately wanted to see them take over that spot and do the main stage at the grandstand with Gully Boys opening up for them. I was making pleas. I would have guerrilla marketed. It would have been like the Blues Brothers. We would have put an audio, like a speaker on top of my minivan, and I would have driven through the neighborhoods. And it's ladies' night, that sort of thing. I would have easily done that through this entire city, through this entire state, if you would have done that. Unfortunately, they did not do that. They have decided to fill this role, but it's not going to be Dury and Gully Boys, although can't be prouder of both of those bands. I think it's been fun to watch them both get up into this. Wow, they're getting real good traction now. Especially Dury is getting national traction, which is really cool. I've got some friends who I've told and all these other markets, go catch them when they're coming through, and they're taking a Vile and Gully Boys as opening acts. So that's very cool. That being said, they did come up with a good band, a good artist. Daryl Hall is coming in.
Bad, yeah.
Okay, Hall & Oates, right?
Yes.
I mean, for goodness sakes, I grew up in I was the sweet spot for Hall & Oates. Daryl Hall had a solo album, and he had a song called Dreamtime that was off of it. That's one of the best songs I can remember. I love Dreamtime by Daryl Hall. That was not a Hall & Oates. That was just him. Fantastic song. I'm presuming he'll play that as well. Plus the 9,000 Hall & Oates songs that he has.
Not a big shortage of those.
He's announced as the act replacing Steve Miller Band at the State Fair. They canceled their entire tour earlier. This is going to be on Thursday, August 28th. And that'll be filled by Hall, who vaulted into superstardom in the 70s and 80s with Hall & Oates alongside John Oates, ranking up dozens of chart hits, including 6 number ones for Rich Girl. How many? Okay, I gave you Rich Girl. Can you name how many of the other number ones from Hall & Oates can you remember?
I probably couldn't even come close. No.
Maneater, Out of Touch. I can't believe Out of Touch got there. Kiss on My List, Private Eyes. I can go for that. I can't go for that. No Can Do. There you go. And yeah, so yeah. Yeah, there you go. Maneater, Out of Touch. I can't go for that. Private Eyes, Kiss on My List, and Rich Girl. All were number ones for them. Plus they had another like 12, that top 10 or something like that. He also enjoyed successful solo career, streams performances from himself and guest performers at a Philadelphia restaurant and concert venue, Daryl's House, because they were Philly. That was the big deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
kind of cool to go out to Philly and yeah.
Well, they were inspired by that Philly soul sound. It's great music, phenomenal music. And there's nothing. Okay, getting a cheesesteak and listening to that music. Come on, man, you can't go wrong with that. He'll be supported by special guests, the Rascals, who were the original opening band for Steve Miller. They're there. It's not the Rascals are great too. So it's going to be a good concert. Although I was kind of hoping it'd be Dury. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it's tough to beat someone who was in Hall & Oates though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Sometimes you have to say, that was a good call. I mean, that was a good call. So years ago, I was up for a job, and I'm not going to say where, but I was up for a job, and I'll just say John Hines got hired. And I did this, and I called the guy that was doing the hiring, and I said, you know what? Good call. I would have made that decision. Yep, I made the right decision on that one. I know my place in this planet. So that was years and years ago. But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, I would have hired him. Yeah, I'll just go back and sit back over here. Thank you very much. I'll let the door hit my caboose on the way out. You have to have that kind of mentality. Daryl Hall is that kind of guy. So you and Cooligan, you guys actually get into it with a lot of topics, or at least some major topics today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're mainly going to be talking, of course, about the fraud scandals that we've been seeing in Minnesota, especially with this housing program that of course, was recently in the news. We're going to be talking about that. Governor Walz freezing some of the funding. And then we'll get into I think, a good conversation towards the end of that topic where we're going to highlight the fact that it's not the end users or the people that actually try to use these services that are causing the fraud. It's always the middlemen and always these providers. That's what we have in common with all of these fraud scandals that we've been seeing throughout Minnesota. We're talking about that. Plus, we'll touch a little bit on Ilhan Omar's primary challenges or lack thereof, maybe in 2026. So lots to get to today.
Yeah, I think that, I think if she survived the last few, and it becomes very difficult. The more she keeps winning, the harder it comes to knock her
down. And now she's got the endorsement of Klobuchar, which pretty much shuts the door. I mean, those are people from two very different parts of the Democratic Party, and if they're endorsing each other, that's going to be tough to beat.
That's interesting. Klobuchar is snuggling up to Omar.
Well, we'll get into it too, but Kulikan was speculating that could be a play for 2028 of saying, Ilhan Omar likes me, so you can like me in 28.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, well, that's not something you'd see Amy Klobuchar usually do. Yeah. So there's and with politicians, there's always an ulterior motive. They're always
never in politics.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to let you guys get to it. It's Brett here with Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer right here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Brett Johnson with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. And as usual, this week we are joined by Patrick Cooligan, who is the editor-in-chief of the Minnesota Reformer. Make sure you go to Minnesota Reformer for the best in Minnesota news and politics. As today we are going to be talking about Secretary of State Steve Simon responding to the Trump administration's request for the state's voter registration list. We'll also be talking about the primary that's going to be taking place for Ilhan Omar's seat and whether she'll be able to fend off any potential challengers coming up in the 2026 cycle. Plus, of course, we have another massive fraud scandal of Minnesota, this time with our Housing Stabilization Services program. We're going to talk more about that and how Governor Walz has halted payments to a number of the providers. So a lot to get to today. Patrick, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. So let's start off talking about fraud here in the state because, as I said, we are facing yet another massive fraud scandal, and this one does have to do with the Housing Stabilization Services program. Now, Governor Tim Walz has halted payments to dozens of providers after federal investigators said the vast majority of the program is largely fraudulent, with losses possibly toppling $1 billion. So, as we know, acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson said this was a vast majority of the fraud that was happening in this program. So, how exactly did things get so bad with this well-intentioned program, and what have been explanations from a number of politicians and those involved for what exactly happened and why things went so wrong with this program?
Well, the Medicaid program started allowing this the use of this money I think with the idea of helping people who had housing instability, because as it turns out that when you don't have housing stability, it really affects everything, including your health. And so this was a way of preventing later health and psychiatric emergencies that can result from homelessness. So far, so good. We were, I believe, the first state to try this, and they expected to spend a couple $1 million, I think, when it was first introduced roughly 5 years ago, and the spending just exploded. And the problem is that the fraudsters have really been able to spot weaknesses, and primarily programs where you don't have licensing and you don't have a ton of oversight, and the cost has exploded, and it's pretty clear, at least from the reporting, and from, as you said, the acting U.S. attorney, that a lot of this money is just going out the door and not actually helping anyone. So it seems like it's a replay of what we've seen in other programs, autism program, and then, of course, most infamously, Feeding Our Future, although Feeding Our Future is a different government agency that was administering it, but it's the same kind of thing where if you can create a vendor and then you just invent fake services, document it, and you can get paid. And so the scammers have kind of just figured it out, which government programs are the most vulnerable, and then they attack them. And then word gets around, and pretty soon we're looking at, as you said, $1 billion. Not on this program in particular. I think
Yeah,
talking about all of the fraud in total. But it's easy to see how you get to $1 billion when you start thinking about these different programs and the number of, over the last 5. And really, you can go back 10 years, I think, because I suspect there was a lot of fraud in a child care program.
Now, Governor Tim Walz has halted payments to 50 of the largest housing stabilization service providers. So how significant is this move, and what might the immediate impacts be? Because as I think back to Feeding Our Future, did this same sort of thing happen where we ordered stop payments to a number of these companies, then they sued and eventually got money for their supposed services? What are your thoughts on what this impact could be with Walz halting payments to a number of those housing stabilization service providers?
Right. So in the previous situations, Governor Walz, they've said he and his commissioners have said they didn't have authority to stop payment quickly enough, and the legislature gave them that authority, and now he's using it. But as you said, this could easily invite litigation. In fact, the governor acknowledged as much yesterday. And that's exactly what we saw with Feeding Our Future in 2021. In that case, if you remember, the Feeding Our Future, the nonprofit, succeeded in court against the Department of Education and got the money to keep flowing. And rather unfortunately, a number of Minnesota politicians, including State Senator Omar Fateh, who's now the DFL endorsed candidate for mayor, were cheering on Feeding Our Future in its legal fight with the Department of Education. I suspect we will not see much political support for any litigation against the state as Governor Walz and his administration tries to tamp down all this fraud.
And now looking ahead, what steps could the legislature or state agencies take, or what are they looking to possibly take in terms of steps to prevent another massive fraud scheme like this from, happening yet again in our state?
Yeah, a longer term strategy might be to stop privatizing all these services. If you really want the government to help people with their housing stability, why should we contract this out to either for-profit or nonprofit companies, and instead just hire people, have a branch of government that helps people get stable housing. Now, there was a wave of privatization in the United States, starting especially with Ronald Reagan. And some of it is well-intentioned. The idea is that contractors can be more nimble, and they have expertise in a given problem. And then also you don't have the issue of having to take on government employees and their significant benefits, and especially pension benefits. But I think we're seeing the downside of all that, the privatization, with programs that are easy to defraud, or apparently pretty easy to defraud. So that's a much bigger conversation. I fear that the results of a lot of this fraud is going to be cynicism on the part of the public about government in general, and these programs in particular, and the housing stabilization Medicaid program had bipartisan support, and I think that is probably now at risk, and so my fear is a lot of these programs that have been looted are now going to be up for public debate in a way that they weren't before, and you're going to see calls for their elimination. And the problem is not the program itself; it's just the way that it was apparently poorly administered.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. I mean, the problem is not with the end user themselves, or the stereotype we always get of the so-called welfare queen, or the end user who is taking these benefits and ultimately supposed to benefit from them. They're not the ones causing the fraud. It's these third-party providers, and as you said, mostly private contractors. That's where the problem is. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Unfortunately, the political winds are probably going to turn against the programs themselves, with people just throwing up their hands and saying, well, look, this didn't work. We don't need any more housing stabilization programs. So definitely share that concern that that's probably where we're going to end up going, even though that really doesn't address the root cause of what actually happened with all of these scandals that we saw.
Yeah, let me elaborate. I mean, that's an important point. So in the past, when we thought of government fraud, we were thinking of somebody taking food stamps, or what we call SNAP benefits, who didn't deserve it, or Medicaid, or housing assistance. That's not really what we're talking about here. It's people setting up businesses. I mean, this was the real insight of these fraudsters. You set up a business, all you need is an address, and a business license, or would be a registered nonprofit with the Secretary of State. And now you get, and then you line up clients, so to speak. People who need housing stabilization services. You might give them a kickback, but then once you've got those clients, and then you just start billing, and it's really as simple as some paperwork, and then you just start billing, and then they just start paying. And so that's what's different about this, and why the amounts are so much more. I mean, when somebody was getting SNAP benefits and maybe didn't deserve it, it's really a small amount of money. But this is a significant amount of money when you set up a business and you start billing the government.
Absolutely. And that's an important distinction to make. And I hope people pick that up as you hear about all these fraud scandals with government programs in Minnesota, as we brought up. It's generally not the people who are supposed to benefit from those things at the end. It's usually the middlemen or those private providers that end up the situations where you have all of this fraud. Well, I want to move on to another topic, and that has to do with something the Trump administration is trying in Minnesota, and that's collecting our state voter registration list. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon is pushing back against a Trump administration request for the state's voter registration list. The Department of Justice had asked several states, including Minnesota, for the data ahead of the 2026 midterms elections. But Simon's office says they won't comply with the order without clear legal justification and assurances that the information will be protected. So why was the Trump administration requesting Minnesota's voter registration list, and what kind of makes this request different from election oversight? And then, of course, how did Simon's office respond?
Yeah, I mean, the President Trump directed the Attorney General Pam Bondi back in March to seek information about "quote unquote" suspected election crimes from state election officials, and then empowered her to withhold grants and money from states that are not cooperative. And I mean, if you have a little bit of memory, you know that Trump has this fictional fascination with election fraud and the false claim that he won the 2020 election. And so he's, I mean, like much of what else he's doing in his second term, he's just relitigating events of the past and using his hammer to try to do it. And so that's what this is all about. And I don't know who got in his ear and told him that he should hand over, that these states are the ones that should have to hand over their info. Although notice that other than Alaska, I mean, these are all either blue or purple states. So I think that's certainly interesting. He's not asking Texas to hand over its voter registration data. And thankfully, in this case, Secretary of State Steve Simon is refused to go along, and he's relying on Minnesota law, which just doesn't allow him to do this.
Yeah, thankfully he didn't go along with that. But as you said, yeah, curious, it's generally only blue and purple states that are being targeted by these requests from the Trump DOJ. And finally, one more story to talk about before we wrap things up today, and that has to do with the primary that's going to be taking place in 2026 for Ilhan Omar's seat. Now, here's why I bring that up. Even though Ilhan Omar has, of course, successfully been the Democratic nominee for the past couple cycles in that congressional district, she has always faced some at least well-funded or pretty stiff competition from other DFLers trying to knock her off and get that nomination. And I'm curious how 2026 is shaping up from Ilhan Omar, if she's been taking a different approach to try to shore up endorsements and try to prevent another future primary challenge, or what's the status of what's happening in terms of that primary in CD5 for Ilhan Omar's seat in 2026?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a DFL operative 2-3 weeks ago, and this person was talking about the possibility of challengers to Omar, and obviously something has changed here very quickly, and I think Omar is being very aggressive about getting out in front of any potential challengers. She's paying close attention to the home front here. And I'm not going to say this ends the opportunity for any challenger, but there's also a couple challengers mentioned, I think, potential challengers mentioned in the Star Tribune story. I think Ryan Winkler's in there, and he says he has no interest. And so at this point, without a significant challenger and knowing that you're not going to get endorsements, including of these, I think people in Minneapolis would think of them as moderate Democrats, like the governor and certainly Senator Klobuchar. I think it's tough to imagine any challenger if Ilhan is going to be campaigning with Senator Klobuchar. I mean, that spans the breadth of the Democratic Party. The other thing that's interesting here is that this is Klobuchar's first time endorsing Ilhan. So to me, that says something about a rapprochement in their relationship, that Ilhan has really sought to smooth things over. It also says something to me about what Klobuchar's plans might be in 2028. If she wants to make another run for president, she knows that it would be very helpful to have someone like Ilhan on her huddled up next to her on the left, because certainly that the party has moved in that direction, and I just think that was a problem for Klobuchar in 2020. There was no love from the progressive grassroots, and Ilhan endorsements, where if Ilhan were to return the favor, I would think would be pretty significant for any kind of Klobuchar presidential run.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that she had not endorsed Ilhan Omar before. I mean, obviously in the primary, that makes some sense, but even in the general election as well. Yeah, that is quite the development, because you typically picture Ilhan Omar and Amy Klobuchar coming from two very different parts of the Democratic Party, but who knows, that very well could be some political thinking by Klobuchar to try to position herself for a potential run in 2028. So yeah, that would be interesting to see if Ilhan were to return the favor in a couple of years for a presidential bid, or at least a potential presidential bid from Amy Klobuchar. So either way, though, yeah, it does sound like in CD5, probably a lot less drama than what we saw in the past couple of election cycles, though, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you never know who might step forward, but yeah, I think this is a sign that she's taking it seriously to try to clear the field, and the Democratic establishment is backing her.
Yeah, and that is quite the change from what we've seen the past couple of cycles. Well, you can read more about what we talked about today, including some speculation on what could be happening in that CD5, either at MinnesotaReformer.com, or if you want to catch more on that, make sure you sign up for their newsletter as well. Usually some good political takes in there and kind of a preview of what to come in the Reformer that day. So make sure you go to MinnesotaReformer.com for the best in news and Minnesota politics, as well as signing up for their daily newsletter as well. We have been speaking with Patrick Houlihan, who is the editor-in-chief of the Minnesota Reformer. As always, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
And let's take a break and send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
This is it. Art lovers, weekend wanderers, and food truck fans. Minneapolis' iconic art event is happening this weekend. The 34th annual Powderhorn Art Fair takes over the Powderhorn Park on Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with more than 200 juried artists, delicious food trucks, floral vendors, upcycle creators, and a full family zone. There is something for everyone to enjoy. Wander the lakeside paths, meet the local and regional artists, find the perfect piece for your home, or just take in the vibrant energy of this truly unique celebration of creativity and community. Don't miss the chance to support arts and experience one of the most joyful weekends of the summer. All right here in the heart of South Minneapolis. Admission is free, again, Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Powderhorn Park. For details, event schedules, food truck lists, artist previews, and more, visit powderhornartfair.com. That's powderhornartfair.com.
Margaret Cho is coming to Minneapolis, and she's not holding back. Choligarchy is Margaret Cho's new comedy tour that's tackling power, privilege, and the madness of modern America. Frustrated with the State of the Union? Well, so is Cho. She's turning that rage into her most blistering, brutally honest show yet, taking on racism, homophobia, and sexism with her signature wit and fearless comedy. Don't miss Margaret Cho at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, March 26th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. That's Ticketmaster.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having its annual store-wide sale. For the entire month of July, all of our indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at their lowest price of the year. At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display, explain, and install the Twin Cities' most diverse selection of indoor and outdoor stoves and fireplaces, including metal and masonry pizza ovens.
While shopping for a fireplace insert at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, I was amazed at all the choices. Not just gas, electric, or wood burning, but also built-in or freestanding, and options in every style from antique to modern. The staff listened to us, explained the options, and helped us choose a fireplace we love. Now it warms our hearts and our home every winter. Thank you, Woodland Stoves, for a great addition.
Come see us. We have over 35 working displays in our store, which is just off I-94 at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at ShambotFamilyDentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzz Cut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, increasing clouds with a low of 67. Then Wednesday, clearing skies with a high of 78. Maverick's Real Roast Beef is an East Metro treasure with the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities and so many other delicious offerings you won't want to miss. Maverick's is in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950 KTN up St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us today. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Margaret Cho is coming to the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, March 26th. It's Margaret Cho's Choligarchy comedy tour. I've got a pair of tickets right now to give away. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5, you are going to get yourself a pair of tickets to go see Margaret Cho when she's at the Fillmore in Minneapolis coming up on Thursday, March 26th. Good luck. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5, you will win there. I want to, obviously for me, there's a lot of personal feeling about this next story because one, I have worked with Phil at the Park Tavern for many years. I go there often with my family. I go there often on myself. I have a good time over there. Fantastic food. I've been served by pretty much everyone on that staff, including Christina when she was there. So there's a personal feeling connection there. I mean, Phil's my friend, and the people that work there I think are outstanding people. And it's one of my favorite places in town. The other side of it is, of course, the story. I was hit by a drunk driver a little more than 2.5 years ago and broke my back. And, you know, it's unfortunate we don't have more consequences for drinking and driving, especially when it comes to offensive, that we don't have somebody who has been killed by a drunk driver, but just injured badly by a drunk driver, and there's just no consequences. And a lot of people in the state will say, we really, in the county will say, it's really got to be horrible. Oh, yeah, yikes, 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 yikes. And yet there's not a lot of consequences. It shouldn't have to take a tragedy this serious for us to get an appropriate punishment. And I think that if we actually had more serious punishments, it might actually encourage people to maybe not drink and drive, or at least think about it a little bit more. So I've got a lot of personal feelings about this, but I did want to make sure I took the time here. The victims of Stephen Bailey had no chance to change their fate before he was sentenced to 30 years in prison on Monday in Hennepin County District Court for surveillance video of Bailey driving his car into the patio at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park was shown for the first time. It proved what he has long said about what Bailey had admitted: the deaths of Christina Folkerts and Gabriel Harvey, and the injuries of several other people on that patio stem from an act of selfishness on a late summer evening during a holiday weekend last year. The surveillance video showed Bailey drive his car haltingly forward through the lot, back up several feet to park before gently bumping into another car. He then pulled the car into drive and seconds later accelerated abruptly about 200 feet. He plowed over a thin metal gate and kept driving as tables, chairs, plates, and glasses exploded skyward. The impact killed Folkerts and Harvey, while several other people were left with some serious physical injuries. Family members of Folkerts and Harvey spoke at the sentencing, as did the survivors. All spoke of the ramifications of that crash. Families forever altered. Bodies left damaged, trauma that will last a lifetime. They spoke of the guilt of surviving when a friend seated just a few feet away had died. They spoke of spending nearly a year trying to comprehend Bailey's decision and how Minnesota's laws could allow him, with 5 previous drunk driving convictions, to have an active license at the time of the crash. Aaron Folkerts, Christina's husband, said the senseless decision by Bailey led him to an impossible question. My daughter never gets to hug her mom again. How do I explain that to her? He said Monday was the last time he would think of Bailey, but I do believe he will think about us and every other person affected by his tragedy every day. Christina's father, John Bryant, said the crash was affected his family in ways Christina would have hated, the tragedy of the loss of splintering grandparents from grandchildren. When Bryant heard that Bailey was said after the crash that he didn't have an alcohol problem, he was floored. He has multiple DUIs. The court system failed me for allowing him to ever drive a motor vehicle, Bryant said in a statement read by the victim advocate. By allowing him to drive, I've lost my little girl along with constant contact with my grandchildren. Denzel Flowers, Harvey's partner, said he cannot return home because Harvey was his home. We are a dead language. Our conversations are love now forever unspoken, Flowers said. Harvey's father, Craig, said Denzel and his son had built a lovely life together, and Harvey was months away from becoming a registered nurse, a moment embraced by the co-workers sitting with him on the patio that night. He said Harvey's love extended everywhere for his grandparents and his neighbors. Healing Bailey's decision to leave home with a blood alcohol level 4 times the legal limit changed countless lives. 4 times. Bailey was given the last word at the healing after pleading guilty to 5 felonies, including 2 counts of third-degree murder. I don't think there's anything more I can add to ease the pain and loss I've caused or improve the situation, Bailey said. The judge agreed. I am just at a loss, Hoya said, pointing to Bailey's supportive family, his clear addiction, and his lack of willpower to change his life. All I can think of is at some point you gave up on yourself. Bailey was given the strongest sentencing available to the court after he was taken into custody. His family and his victims filed out together. He's pretty much going to spend the rest of his life in jail, as he should. I don't know why we treat alcohol so much differently than other drugs that you can get addicted to. If you're caught driving under the influence of meth, you're going to jail. If you're caught under the influence of crack cocaine or bath salts, you're going to jail. But alcohol, not only do you not go to jail, but they're almost excuse making that is out there by the individuals who are supposed to be enforcing our laws to almost downplay it. It wasn't that bad. I want to just say for myself, you broke my effing back. I am lucky I am not in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And I'm damn lucky to be alive. Once again, the structural integrity of a Toyota Sienna saved my life. This is a problem to the point where it's, in my mind, on par with the drivers who drive drunk around our cities and our state. The inability for us to look at somebody who doesn't kill somebody drinking and driving and saying, you've got a serious problem. You are going to go to jail for a little bit, at the very least, to sober your ass up. But we don't do that. I've talked about the fact that the individual who hit me went into, he applied to go into a heavy duty program, which would actually erase his record even if he was successful with it. I was told when I was talking to the county about this program that this is not a joke. This is serious. You know, if he's there, if he doesn't, well, what's going to happen if he doesn't fail out of this? He gets probation. What? Nope. The failure we are having, and the failure in this case, is because we refuse to basically want to treat alcohol like other drugs. I'm not denying addiction is not an addiction. Alcohol addiction is just like any other addiction. It really is. And you have to realize you have a problem. And going out 4 times the legal limit is not admitting you have a problem. Nope, you are. And the question becomes this, is if at any time on the previous DUIs, if anyone had said, I'm sorry, you're going to go to jail for a year, would that have been enough of a deterrent for this individual? Even 6 months in jail to sort of say, you know what, I do not want that ever to happen again. I'm not going to play this game, or to even sober up. Sober up and realize the mistakes you're making with your life. To hit that rock bottom, as a lot of people that counsel people on addiction will talk about, that rock bottom that tells you you have to change or you're going to die. He might now be at the point of that. He might not. It might take 5 or 6 years of him being in prison, missing his family growing up, missing his kids. Maybe then he'll realize I'm at rock bottom. But we shouldn't have, and God, how many times have I talked about, we had, what was it, up in Pine County? Guy killed 3 people and got like 3.5 years. We don't have deterrence for this stuff. We don't have deterrence for this stuff anymore. And I don't know, is it the liquor companies? Is it the booze companies? Is it harmless fun? I think that we need, I'm not saying you lock people up for the one mistake for the rest of their life, unless it is a situation where they basically do kill somebody or seriously injure somebody. But at the same time, what we're doing right now is doing nothing to stop this problem. I mean, it's almost to the point of the TV show Shameless, and you see William H. Macy's character on there, the guy that's just the constant drugs and constant alcohol, because there really aren't any consequences in that world for any of the things that he does. As a matter of fact, he always seems to land on his feet, and that's kind of the mentality, is that you always land on your feet. This whole story, if it's anything, we need to have harsher rules here. We need to have, we have to have some punishment, because the longer we keep doing this, the longer we're failing us as Minnesotans. I don't care who these people hit, if it's a Democrat or Republican. No one deserves to have this happen to them. No one does. And we need to start acting like that. Please. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Did we give away the tickets to Margaret Cho?
Yes, we did. Congratulations, Richard and Edina.
Richard, congratulations. Enjoy the show. I've got tickets tomorrow, and I got tickets on Thursday before I got Bakken filling in for me on Friday. So make sure you're listening tomorrow, Wednesday, Stein edition of the show. Make sure you're listening for your chance to win then. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Tuesday.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Margaret Cho is coming to Minneapolis, and she's not holding back. Choligarchy is Margaret Cho's new comedy tour that's tackling power, privilege, and the madness of modern America. Frustrated with the State of the Union? Well, so is Cho. She's turning that rage into her most blistering, brutally honest show yet, taking on racism, homophobia, and sexism with her signature wit and fearless comedy. Don't miss Margaret Cho at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on Thursday, March 26th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. That's Ticketmaster.com.
Food, music, family. Discover the Slavic experience. Saturday, August 2nd and Sunday, August 3rd at The Rock in St. Louis Park. Polish music from Polka King, Ukrainian band Yev, gypsy music, a donut eating contest, fashion show. Whether you're a Slavic immigrant, have roots in one of the 14 Slavic nations, or simply want to experience Slavic culture, don't miss Slavic Experience, August 2nd and 3rd at The Rock in St. Louis Park. For more information, SlavicExperience.com.
You can't have too much pride, and Fargo Moorhead Pride is proving it again this year, August 8th through 11th. It's one of the region's largest pride celebrations, drawing people from across Minnesota, the Dakotas, and even Canada. Just a little over 3 hours from the Twin Cities, you'll find 4 days packed with celebration, community, and fun at Fargo Moorhead Pride. It all kicks off Thursday, August 8th with a family fun night, trivia, and a karaoke party. Then Friday features an all-ages drag show and a high-energy dance party. Saturday brings a 5K fun run, patio palooza, and the big Pride Block party. And on Sunday, everything wraps up with an interfaith service and the Pride Parade through downtown Fargo. Pride in the Park is one of the weekend's biggest events, offering food trucks, community vendors, and live entertainment everyone can enjoy. Make the road trip and show your pride at Fargo Moorhead Pride, August 8th through the 11th. Full schedule and details at fmpride.com.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease. It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. So lastly here this is the story that's kind of going on. The Governor Walz activated the Minnesota National Guard today in response to a cyber attack impacting the city of St. Paul. In a statement around 11:45 today, the governor's office said city officials requested the deployment of the National Guard's cyber protection assets because of the magnitude and complexity of the cybersecurity incident. Yikes. We are committed to working alongside the city of St. Paul to restore cybersecurity as quickly as possible. The Minnesota National Guard cyber forces will collaborate with the city, state, and federal officials to resolve the situation, mitigate lasting impacts. We're all committed to protecting the safety and security of the people of St. Paul. The city's defensive shutdown as a response to the breach has caused internet outages in city buildings, disruption to the library system, and suspension of network access to a wide range of internal applications, according to city officials. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Melvin Carter, the mayor, said suspicious activity was detected on the city networks Friday of last week. Carter said the city responded immediately to the alert and launched an investigation. We now know this was not a system glitch or a technical error. Carter said this was a deliberate, coordinated digital attack carried out by a sophisticated external actor intentionally and criminally targeting our city's information infrastructure. The city's emergency operations center has been activated, and city leaders have retained 2 national firms to support the recovery. The city is also working with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to trace the source and scope of the breach. Carter has declared the local state of emergency and said the city on Monday initiated a full shutdown of the city's information systems as a defensive measure. Carter said these measures are intended to isolate the threat and protect sensitive information as recovery efforts continue. City leaders have no comment on which information, if any, was stolen by the investigation continues. Well, if he was in the system, he's probably gotten some, or they have probably gotten some of the information about the city. Can I point out 2 maybe not connected stories, but the first, it just all of a sudden raised my eyebrow. So you know that the housing assistance program that's being abused, that we have basically the governor has shut down the payment system of this. And reminder, when Feeding Our Future happened, they tried to do that as well before a judge said, nope, nothing to see here, and gave the money back to the guys that were ripping off the state until the feds could get in there. I wonder if, okay, I'm not saying this is, I'm be the first to say this is wild speculation. But would I be surprised if this was one of the bad actors behind the bilking the state with the housing scandal that's going on right now? basically saying, no, I want my money. And if I have to hold the city of St. Paul hostage, I'll do it until you guys open up the banking accounts and get me my money again. Let's be honest. The people who are, using these programs to steal money are pretty unscrupulous jackasses. So I wouldn't be surprised by something like this. I'm not saying they are connected, but that was the first place I went. I was like, I wonder if there's someone involved in this, because clearly these criminal organizations are much more organized and as they are. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a good one. We are back tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
I'm Little Teapot, short